Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ground Zero. Today it's me again. Purely based on that's why this episode's been delayed till a day later. Because I've yesterday got back from Creator Day. I'm still absolutely exhausted from it. That's why I've got some notes on my phone so that I can not miss anything out. Because it on the day it can seem so much at once that you forget, especially when it's your first big event and you got involved in so many things around just the talking that you tend to forget a little bit. So I've got my notes there to help today. But today I'm going to be talking about my experience at Creator Day. And I guess the theme of it is first time going to a networking event as a young adult. So as you know from last episode, I'm 20, nearly 21. So you probably will class me as young. So this is sort of for any young person that wants to step into this world and wants to live it out that you can do it. So started off the day, I got there about 8:30 in the morning. Um, and this is what really helped actually. And I want to shout this person out because he's been on the podcast before and he really helped me settle in the day. But Matt King. So I got in, went through, saw all of Creator Lab people. But then I started talking to Matt a bit, had a little bit of banter, and it's just as simple as he's like, "Oh, look at this," and it's a little photo booth thing. There's no thing behind it yet, and just took a picture, so we're the first picture on the day. But it's just that little interaction which actually helped me settle in for the day. Then I went downstairs. I was part of the welcome team with the Creator Lab people, so handing out booklets, make sure everyone gets everything they need. That was also a massive help because then, as the day went on, it wasn't a matter of, oh, I don't know anyone. It's, well, they've at least seen my face once because they've had to come through the door. And then the day started, and the intro was with Mark, and he did an analogy of trees. It was a ecosystem PowerPoint on how all the tree roots communicate with each other and how the little trees can feed off the bigger trees. And this is, pardon me, how all networks come together. And the way he's done You Are the Media matches that perfectly because all the little trees, like Creator Lab, myself, we're feeding off the bigger trees like Mark. He's feeding wisdom to us, giving us energy. You've also got people like Christoph with his agency work, bringing that wisdom in, Matt King with his newsletter. You got all these people around you that just want to support and help you, that the bigger trees are feeding the little ones. And I really love that analogy from Mark. It was really well intricate, like an intricated like presentation. So that's a nice little kick off. It's not anything mind-boggling. It makes sense. You're not going to get your head trapped around working with it, but it was a nice way to start off the day, and it was definitely something you could take away. And then we moved on to the talk with Dodge. Now, Dodge is interesting because he runs the Bournemouth Sevens, and he's got his own podcast. Now, if I remember correctly, I think he has over 100 million views on it. And he was talking about risk taking, that's like the key focus of it, is take the risks, and that's all you can do. Um, he was very open. He was talking about his life when he used to live in the pub, when things weren't so great, and how things picked up when he like ran out of money for Bournemouth Sevens, and yeah, he was very open, um, and that's very rare to come across, especially with someone of that caliber. You got the Bournemouth Sevens, you've got your successful podcast, and yet he's coming on stage in front of 200, 250 people and just being brutally open. And my respect, like I've known the name and I respect him anyway, but for coming up and doing that, my respect for him has gone up immensely. And hopefully one day we can get him on this podcast and have a sit down and speak to you guys as well. So Dodge came on, talked about himself, how risks, and he went on about his method with cars. And if I can find it, there we are. So cars is what's the word for it? It's like it's a word that can be broken down. So the C is curiosity. So be curious, ask the questions. Um, basically, when you're my age, you're always curious because you don't know a lot. But if you are older, bring yourself down to you're a rookie and you're curious, ask the questions. A was the most interesting one, and he said that this is the most important one, aggressively patient. So you want to be aggressive to get stuff done, but you want to be patient. So if you start a business, you want to be aggressive to make it successful, but you've also got to be patient in the fact that it could take 5 years to kick off. R is the key theme behind talk was risk, and S is simplify. So those together work really well. And I think if you can put them all together, you've got a very strong chance of actually succeeding. Because yes, you got to be aggressive and patient at the same time. Yes, you got to be curious and ask the questions. What I've been doing in the previous episodes with guests, like, oh, you do this. Well, what does this link to this? Like, just ask questions, simplify everything you can, and over a time period, you'll find yourself in a very good spot. And then after Dodge, I believe we had a break, which is exactly how it is. You go get some food, some coffee, you go have a little rest, and then I believe we came in, and then we had Rosie come on. Um, so I'm still knackered from this, so I'm just reminding myself and trying to recoup what happened. So Rosie was talking about community building. Um, yeah, so it's all about community-based stuff. So what is a community? What are the difference between communities? The different types and what community you really want to be in. This is interesting because when you have communities, it's what do you want out of it? Do you want a community that's all together? Do you want a community that has wins off each other? Do you want a community that only wants content from you? Do you want a community that feeds you content? There's loads of different types. So that's an interesting one. Then we moved on to Fab. Now Fab is amazing. I learned a lot from her that day. Um, I had a little chat with her as well. Uh, she runs alt marketing, and her philosophy is marketing shouldn't be just pure out there buying to me. It should actually be from the heart, like emotion based. Um, so yeah, she's very high energy to the point where we had to sing a song, and every time that song said jump, you had to clap, which is very interesting. But it was all about building relationships and making sure that everyone's welcome. So it's not just buy into the course, I'll see you once a year for your graduation, that's you done. It was, no, I'm going to check in every session, make sure you give feedback on your birthday, get virtual cards, talk to you, dance with you. Fab, lovely character. I'd happily sit down and have a conversation with her any day. She's lovely. She's all for the people. She's not just sell as much as I can corporate and then leave you in the dust. She is very for the people, and I love that about her and I respect it. Um, and what I did find out is she's Italian and loves pizzas. Because we went to Pie Pizza after, and yeah. But then we moved on to Rebecca, and this isn't a very interesting story actually, because I've heard Rebecca talk before, but this time she's talking about her background on how she's come from Indonesia, from a very comfortable scenario to not so comfortable, pretty much. And she's all talking about how to show resilience, um, and how to go through that situation to get the outcome that you want. And that you can go from a very comfortable to an uncomfortable and then still build back up. And that was very inspiring. Rebecca, lovely character. I've heard her before. I've heard her at Creator Day. Uh, I'm sure I will probably hear her again. But then we moved on to Shelley. Now, Shelley was talking about strength and learn to incorporate your beliefs. So she went through her whole backstory and went through some very personal stuff with us, and again, very open. And whenever someone comes on stage to 200 people and is very open, my spectrum goes up because not many can do that. Like, I'm sure many of you listening would be like, yeah, I'd do that, but then you probably wouldn't. So my respect for them goes up. And then we went on to the partnership section with Ben McKinney. No, Ben McKinney, sorry, and Dave Harland. And they were talking about partnerships. And if you were thinking about a partnership, how to get into it. So, like, the obvious one, making sure you like your partner. And they went through a lot. And they're very comedy based. So I like them. And me and Ben had a convo later in the evening. Um, and no, very open character. It they know it's like anyone. They are funny. You can talk to them for hours, but they know when to be calm and have a serious conversation. They know when to be comedic and actually throw in jokes. Um, but then this is where the biggest lesson came in because after Ben McKinney and Dave, it was then the "You Are the Media Work Together" section. Now, this is where I was a team leader. And to be perfectly honest, up until the moment where I was announced, I was nervous because I knew who the other team leaders were. They're very experienced, they know what they're doing. And I'm sat there 20, just past my apprenticeship, and I'm just leading a team of like 10 people who are also more experienced. And I'm there like, how am I going to pull this off? Because I've now got to use my limited knowledge of leadership skills and lead this team to get stuff done. So I went with the approach of non-forcing, so went around the circle, got to know each other, and the whole idea was you need to do something that you want to do that you've been putting off that you can now put in the group and be held accountable for. And so I didn't want to just say, well, you guys come up with something and I'm just going to sit back and watch you guys do it. So I thought, hey, I'll get involved as well. So my one is I said I never thought I'd get to this point in my life, but I've hit a point where if I put everything I do on LinkedIn, it's a bit cluttered. So I want to actually get a personal branding website where the podcasts and all my other projects can go. And it's sort of like a, what's the word? Um, like a home portal of what I'm doing. So yes, I'll post stuff on LinkedIn. Like I want to do carousels on LinkedIn. I want to get everything on LinkedIn professional. But if you want to know everything that's organized, so you can see, oh, he does podcasts, oh, he does this, he does that, he works here, this is about him, this is how I contact, all the stuff that you might need, it's in that hub. So that that was that's what I put forward that I want to do. And then they all went around with what they want to do. And then once they were all comfortable, they knew who everyone was. I made sure it's a LinkedIn because then there's no numbers involved. It's just your LinkedIn account. We made a group and I said, if you want to join, join. If you don't. And not one person didn't join. Everyone joined. We all got a selfie. And yeah, it was good. It's definitely a learning curve because I've never led a group like that before, and just seeing that everyone wanted to get involved and everyone was supportive was really good. And then throughout the night, I got chucked in probably 50 plus photos. That's gonna be plastered all over You Are the Media now. But I got in a lot of photos, and then we all went off to Pie Pizza. Um, that was it, actually. I forgot, around 12 o'clock, I want to say. What talk was it in between? I think it was in between Fab and Rebecca, I want to say. It was the graduation for You Are the Media. So I was part of the Create Lab with Mark Masters and You Are the Media, where there's loads of lessons. So we had Ella Raw come on talking about LinkedIn. We had Trisha come on talking about imposter syndrome and not worrying about that. We've had Westro and Alex in talking about writing. We've had a lot of people in. We learnt a lot from it, and we got our certificates, and we graduated from that. In between there, and then so now I'll go back to where we were talking about. At the end of the day, we all went to Pie Pizza. We had pizza, and it's sort of like a after party to the party, if that makes sense. So we've had our time where we've done the selfies, we've networked a bit more. Now we're going for like pizza and more of a smaller group, closer court rooms. So you could talk a lot more. And yeah, everyone was having a great time. And that was a day in a whole. So I started at 8:30. I got home at midnight. So that's like what, about over 12 hours I was out. And yeah, and now I'm reaping the consequences for that today. Because I'm knackered, as you can tell. Like, I never normally read off my notes on my phone, but I'm just tired and I'd forget stuff and I didn't want to rush or miss anything. So I've got to let all this information digest. So this is a very short episode, just going through why the episode's late and what it's done. So I thought I'd talk about it. So next week we're back to normal. This one's a little bit shorter, but it's fine. So that's all Creator Day. I'm going to take a couple of days to digest it. So over the day, if you follow my LinkedIn, which I'll put in the descriptions, I'm going to be doing right back from the start of Ground Zero. I'm going to do carousels about the episode. So if you want to read that, there's information there. I'm also going to be doing quite frequent posts individually about Creator Day. So like individual speakers. There'll be a whole long post on Dodge. There'll be a whole long one on Rebecca. So if you want to know more about the talks, I'm going to make sure that I get posts up for those. They're all out individually for you guys. But for now, I'm going to go rest up. I'm going to digest this information a bit more. And then we're back at it next week, hopefully at 100%. But thank you for bearing with me today. Sorry for the late video, but we're back. We're going to be rested next week, but I'll catch you next one. Peace out, guys. See you later.